Trifles by Susan Glassbell. Evidence of abuse patterns. Minnie was kept isolated from family and friends. Minnie was no longer allowed to participate in the choir. John killed Minnie's canary. John was known to be a hard man, never cheerful. Although it was never stated, there was probably some physical abuse going on as well. Minnie Foster was once a beautiful young girl who loved singing in the choir. She wore beautiful clothes and was very lively. That is, until she became Minnie Wright. Now her days are lonely and filled with cooking, cleaning, and waiting for John Wright to come home. John, who wishes to control everything she does. Minnie purchases a canary to sing to her throughout the day and to keep her company. Her friends do not want to visit as they know her home is an unhappy one. I've never seen her much of late years. I've not been in this house. It's been more than a year now. It never seemed a cheerful place. I don't think the place was any cheerfuler for John Wright's being in it. We assume that John Wright kills the canary, and that is the reasoning behind Minnie killing John. John seemed to have been killed in the same fashion as the canary. Look at the bird. Somebody's wrung its neck. Somebody slipped a rope around his neck and strangled him. In understanding the events that took place during this story, we have to keep in mind that during this time period there was no such thing as separation or divorce. Women had no rights when it came to physical or mental abuse by men. Men had all control over every aspect of their lives. Women were not free to work, come and go as they wanted, or even free to decide who they wanted to marry. Most marriages were arranged by male family members for some type of financial gain, whether it be money, family status, or property. Women were often confined to the home in a traditional role of being a wife and mother. In this case, Minnie had no children to occupy her time, and John was often gone all day working. Minnie was left alone for hours on end with nothing to do but cook, clean, and knit. It was easy for the women to figure out what happened because they know what it is like to be in a woman's position. The women know how lonely it can be on a farm and how their own lives are, even with being able to have visitors and being able to visit. They can empathize with Minnie being confined to her home and being the total opposite of them. Minnie was not allowed to visit and she had no visitors. The men, on the other hand, cannot see things from a woman's point of view. Men during this time period felt that they were far superior to women. Men believed that women were moral creatures and would never commit such a crime. The effects of isolation. Mental health, increased risk of depression, low energy, tiredness or lack of motivation, sleep problems, difficulty getting to sleep, diet problems, loss of appetite, negative feelings, feelings of worthlessness, physical symptoms such as headaches and illness. Things that the women noticed as important to the case that the men just overlooked as trifles. The stitches that were messed up in the quilt, the difference in the way she dressed, the way the house was kept. She did not seem to be able to finish one project or task. For example, the table was half cleaned and the fruit was ruined. These were all things that were important to Minnie, but she no longer seemed to take pride in them. Conclusion. Minnie was justified in killing her husband. All evidence points to the fact that John Wright was a tyrant who treated Minnie badly. John killed Minnie's canary because he probably knew it was the only thing that provided her with any happiness. Mrs. Hill and Mrs. Peters were right to keep Minnie's secret. Both Mrs. Hale and Mrs. Peters can identify with what Minnie was going through because they too are in similar situations with their husbands. They may not be isolated like Minnie was, but they know how it feels to have no say in what happens in their lives.